Messi! Messi!
Gonna heave one is
A trick, and Pat Garrity
Hi ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jacob Rudner here alongside Noah Cameras, and unfortunately, as I'm sure you've already noticed, Ariel Putterman is not here this week due to the fact that he is sick. We hope to see him next week, and we wish that he feels better. The Super Bowl was this past Sunday, arguably one of the best Super Bowls in Super Bowl history. 51 Super Bowls later, and we had our first overtime ever. Falcons looked fantastic for the first half, and then looked exactly the opposite of that going into the second half of the game. What can we take away from this game?
So the Falcons went away from the run game in the second half, which I think was a big part of it. They had one sequence where Julio Jones made an outstanding catch to put them 1st and 10 inside the 25-yard line of the Patriots. They were up 8. They could have ran the ball and kicked a field goal and the game would have been over, but they chose to pass. He got sacked. They got a holding penalty. They had to punt it away. And Tom Brady came back.
And that was such a mistake. And you know, the reason I want to talk about that is because Devontae Freeman looked so good this entire game. He was bouncy. He was definitely all over the place on the field. No Patriot was catching him, and they wouldn't give him the ball. They kept going Matt Ryan. They kept going Julio Jones, and the Patriots caught on. That was the problem. And they eventually started to get sacks in that fourth quarter drive you were just talking about, drove them all the way back out of field goal range, and it resulted in a punt, which let the Patriots tie up the game. But what I really want to talk about is Tom Brady. I think he just became the best quarterback of all time. He can cover his entire hand in Super Bowl rings, 5 of them now. What's the deal with Brady? Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, before this game, it was Tom Brady, Joe Montana. It's a toss-up. You don't know who's the best. And I mean, Joe Montana had an illustrious career, but Tom Brady got the one for the thumb. He now has 5 rings. He has 4 Super Bowl MVPs. And this is the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. Yeah. Down 25 points. He leads his team back. Yes, the defense stepped up big time. There was some questionable play calling, but he led his team back. In a season where he was suspended the first 4 games, he played with a purpose. He only threw 2 interceptions in the regular season. He didn't get the MVP. Matt Ryan got it, but Tom Brady showed he's like, I'm the best in the world.
So the next thing we need to talk about here is the Falcons. It was probably the most unfortunate second half of a Super Bowl that anybody has ever seen. The reason being their defense turned off. There was no defense in the second half. The offense was very lacking in the second half. I believe they did not score again after halftime. They might have scored one.
They scored 1 touchdown.
Okay, so they scored 1, but still, the offense compared to the first half was not there. It was gone. Yeah. But the most important thing is next year. Where is this Falcons team going to be next year?
Now, here's the sad thing I want to say. I mean, the Falcons team, they were a fun team to watch. I don't see them coming back anytime soon. Now, yes, they still have the talent. Matt Ryan had a really great year. I don't see that happening again. Their defense was good, but I just don't feel like it'll be the same. They're also losing Kyle Shanahan. He went to the 49ers as the head coach. And they're not going to lose a lot of pieces. I just feel like this was like a one-hit wonder. The Cowboys are going to be really good next year. I think the Packers are going to be back. The Seahawks are still going to be good. So I feel like the Panthers are going to be back. So the Falcons had a good run, but I just feel like it's too scary to say they're going to be back next year. It's not going to be a dynasty for sure. So it's sad to say. Right?
But what I want to say right now is that I would not say that they are going to be bad next year. I think that this is going to be a team that we can watch out for, a team that's going to make a playoff run next year because they're not losing any key pieces except for Kyle Shanahan, which is a huge blow, don't get me wrong. But what I want to say is that this is a team that can contend next year. They're going to have to work for it because there are other teams out there, but I don't think that they're not out now. This isn't going to be a Panther situation where you go to the Super Bowl and you're nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see where they rebound next year, what the Patriots are going to look like next year, especially with Brady coming back.
Amazing again.
So, moving on, we have our NBA section. We are going to be doing a mock draft, sort of. We've had some success with those mock drafts in the past, so this time we are going to do a redraft of this past NBA draft 2016. We're going to start with our first 2 picks. I'm going to knock them off right away because we are not going to change them. Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, 1, 2, to the 76ers and to the Lakers. The reason we're keeping them the same, they've both proven that they have been talented. Ben Simmons hasn't exactly shown what he's capable of doing yet because of his injury, but based on his college performance, we can't exactly move him just yet. Number 3, and this is one we are going to talk about because it is our first change, is Jamal Murray to the Celtics as opposed to them picking Jaylen Brown. Tell us about why we're going to switch that
Yeah,
pick.
so Jaylen Brown has been pretty good. He's getting minutes lately with the Avery Bradley injury. He's playing well, but Jamal Murray is just a flat-out scorer, and I feel like the Celtics are good on defense. They have Isaiah Thomas as their #1 scorer. They have Al Horford, who's been pretty good,
Right.
but I think another nice just scorer who can give you a nice 15 points, get some threes. I think that's a good player they need, and Jamal Murray can just flat-out score.
So number 4 through number 6, we do have some changes, but we aren't going to go extremely deep into them. Starting with number 4, we have Marquise Chris going in the 4 spot, as opposed to young center Dragon Bender out of the Israeli Basketball League. We're just switching the picks. Bender's going to go 8 to the Suns. Chris is going to go 4 to the Suns. Only reason we're doing it, Chris has been better. Bender, more of a project, hasn't done much so far, so we're going to switch number 4 and number 8. Number 5, we have Chris Dunn. Timberwolves sticking with Chris Dunn. Is there a reason for that, or why?
I mean, he's just been good. He's been solid for them, and with that, Ricky Rubio should be gone soon, and I think when he's gone, Chris Dunn can fit that hole. He can score, he can pass, and he's a really good player to have.
Number 5, we are going to have the Pelicans sticking with Buddy Hield. Reason being, he's a scorer. He's capable of leading an offense. He showed that back in college, so I think that it's not something that's going to escape from him in his future in the NBA. Number 7 is a huge switch, big riser. From the second round all the way to pick number 7, we have Malcolm Brogdon going to the Nuggets as opposed to Jamal Murray. Why? Let's talk about this
Yeah,
for
so
a second.
Malcolm Brogdon was picked in the second round by the Bucks, and he's just been amazing this year. He's a playmaker at the shooting guard position, which the Nuggets don't really have. They had Jamal Murray, but we have him going 3 to the Celtics. So now they can get another big shooting guard who can really set up the offense, who can do things for them that not a lot of players can do, and I just really, really like this pick.
And what I want to talk about is that Malcolm Brogdon has been such a huge riser this year. He's proven that he is worthy of that first round slot. So really, for me, I think that Malcolm Brogdon is somebody to watch out for on the Bucks, even though we think he should have gone higher. Number 8, like I said earlier, Dragon Bender is going to go 8 as opposed to 4. Not because he's not going to go to the Suns, just because he hasn't been as good as Marquise Chris. Number 9, we got Jaylen Brown. He fell a little bit. Tell us about why.
So again, he has been good, but I just feel like the Celtics would take a better pick with Murray. And I still like Jaylen Brown a lot. I think he'll be a good fit on the Raptors with Lowry, DeRozan, and Brown. Brown's a pretty good defender. He can score when he has to. I think that's a good fit for the Raptors.
Number 10, we are going to have the Bucks sticking with Thon Maker, and Maker is somebody I want to talk about just a tiny bit more. Reason being, he is a little bit of a project. He's similar to Dragon Bender in the fact that he wasn't expected to break into the league amazing. But what I want to talk about is what can we expect for the future of Thon Maker?
Yeah, Thon Maker's all about giving him time. He's a very unique player. We've not really seen someone like him before. He can do some crazy things. He did it internationally, and I want to see what he can do in the NBA with some real minutes. But he's obviously too young, so it was not going to be expected for him to play a lot this year. But in the future, I want to see what he can do.
Number 13, we are not going to change this pick. We have Domantas Sabonis sticking with the Thunder. I think the biggest reason for them sticking with Sabonis in our draft would be because he's been fine. He hasn't been great, but at the same time, there wasn't really anybody else that the Thunder needed at this point, so we're going to have them stick with Sabonis. 12, this one's interesting to me. We have Denzel Valentine going 12. I don't like Valentine, and I think that he hasn't proven himself. He's averaging tiny, tiny points a game. He spent time in the D-League this year. They've just recently brought him back up on the Bulls. What's going on with this pick?
I feel like Denzel Valentine proved himself at Michigan State, which is why he ended up he was actually picked 14 to the Bulls. I just feel like he'd be a good fit with the Hawks. Yes, he's had a pretty rocky rookie season, but so do a lot of people. And I feel like with time, he'll turn into a really solid role player, maybe even a starter, and I think the Hawks could use that kind of guy.
Number 13 to the Kings, we have them going with Jakob Poeltl. Why? What's the reason here?
So the Kings chose Georgios Papagiannis. We haven't really seen him this year, and I feel like Jakob Poeltl will be a nice scoring big man to pair with Boogie that they could have used. He actually ended up going to the Raptors at number 9, but we have the Raptors taking Brown instead, so I think Poeltl would have been a good pick for the Kings.
Lastly, and this is my favorite pick of the draft because he is a Laker, and we here at dTSPN are Laker fans, but Ivica Zubac, he has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Nobody expected him to be that good. He's been great. He broke onto the scene recently, has been getting some minutes, starting to get some minutes. He's a double-double machine. What have we learned about Zubac, and why does he go to the Bulls at 14?
Well, he's a huge center. He's like 265 pounds. He uses his size to his advantage, but he has such a soft touch around the rim. If you just feed him the ball anywhere in the paint, he has the softest touch. He'll get nice bounces. He's getting some Pau Gasol comparisons. Like you told me earlier, he doesn't have the same passing, but he has some really good shooting ability from the paint. He's huge. He gets the double-doubles, and he was picked in the second round at 32, and we just have him shot up. He's been such a good player.
So he is somebody that I think the Lakers are going to be able to utilize in the future, and when I said that he hasn't doesn't have the passing now. I don't think that that's going to stay the same. I think that he could develop into a Pau Gasol type player. He could develop the passing. Definitely has the rebounding, and the scoring is great.
I mean, he's only 19, so you give him some time. He's
Right.
already big. He's not scared about the contact. He's just young. In 3 years, he'll be 22 years old. He'll be able to. I think he'll be able to dominate the league.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that does wrap it up for us this week on dTSPN. We want to let you know that we do still have the MacBook Pro giveaway contest in play. If you guys are interested in doing that, all you got to do is subscribe to our channel. Once we hit 500, we will draw from a hat. Winner wins a brand new MacBook Pro. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week.